You can't put numbers up, you need to find a job. You can put numbers up, you're ready to have a startup. I don't want to hire remote anymore. Like, I think remote is a disaster. I don't think B2C, like, I don't think, for example, 𝗿𝗏𝗧𝗏 is a B2C, and 𝗕𝗏𝗔𝗏𝗧𝗏 isn't B2C either. So our 2 biggest apps are not B2C, and they're not cheap either. We have some pretty sizable contracts for 𝗕𝗏𝗔𝗏. I think that raising money is a function of who's the management, are they experienced, are they talented, what have they done before? You know, for example, at 30, I had $1 billion public company. Are they intelligent? When you meet with investors, do the investors believe what you're saying? Does it come across as credible? Do you have revenue now? Do you have users now? How are those charts going? They have to be growing. If you're not growing 20% month over month, you're basically dead. You have to have a reputation. Even if you're not famous, people who have worked for you, know you, etc. Like, if you're brand new to the world, the business world, it's going to be very difficult. People have never heard of you. You have to either have gotten a huge amount of revenue, a huge amount of users, or something like that. I wouldn't bootstrap. I think it's kind of crazy. You need capital. If you can bootstrap, you know, of course, I would. But who's going to pay for the office? Who's going to pay for the developers? Who's going to pay for marketing? If you're going to do marketing, who's going to pay for data vendors? Who's going to pay for AWS? Who's going to pay for GPUs? Who's going to pay for Datadog? Who's going to pay for PostHog? Who's going to pay for all that stuff? Adds up. Even a small startup, like, it's going to be a couple mil a year, maybe $1 million a year. If you really cut down on the costs, you could do it for $1 million a year. But it's not something I would advise. Being a one-man show has not really worked, ever. They call it a company for a reason. And I think investors want to see, I mean, the biggest part of investing in a company is who is the team? Can this person manage a team? That's in fact one of my best skills, management. If you can't manage a team and your product's not growing, number one thing I would look for as an investor, and I invest, number one thing is, what are the numbers? Give me something. Users, revenue. If you don't have revenue, give me users. If you don't have users, I'm going to wait until you show me some users. Giving me ideas is worthless. Show me the users. If you don't have users, it better be the greatest demo I've ever seen in my life. Otherwise, I need some users. And I need to see a path to like monthly growth. So let's say you have users or revenue, great. I need to see at least 20% month over month growth. It has to at some point approach like $1 million if you're on that trajectory. Like if you're doing 20% growth on $5,000, it's just not going to make sense, right? It has to be, like, that's not scale. You know, it has to be, you have to be approaching $1 million of revenue. Annualized even is fine. But like after like 6 or 7 more 20% month over month, hopefully around $1 million. But if you're doing like $2,000 a month or something, like, there, let me open a spreadsheet, I guess. I don't know, let's say it's, what is it? August 2024, September 2024, October 2024, November 2024, and then December 2024. And let's see if I can extend these to 2025. Yes. All right. So let's say your startup, you have 200 users, and they're paying you, I don't know, $100 each. That's actually not bad. But if you have 20 users, yeah, let's look at this case, okay? And ARR is this times 12. So let's go back to my model where you're growing 20%. You have to grow 20% month over month. Let's say instead you're growing just 10%. Like, this just doesn't work. Because like by the time you get to $1 million annualized, I'll be asleep. Might be dead by then. So yeah, $1 million annualized would happen in December 2027, 3 years from now, before this is like even, arguably that's still a small business. I want to see like 20% month over month. Because even from a very small number like this, $2,000 of revenue is not very much. But even with 2,000, you can see that I'm getting to $1 million in revenue, you know, I guess 18 months from now. That's not bad. So this is what it's all about, right? At the end of the day, if you just show me users growing, if you just, I should just ASP and stuff like that, but this is where it goes 20%. This stays the same. You get the point. So obviously this picture is a lot better if your monthly revenue is, I don't know, let's say something like that, and you're growing 40% month over month. You will very quickly be a big company. Right here, you're talking about 10 million in revenue at some point. So it's all about the numbers, but without the numbers, you know, it doesn't mean much. So you have to show the numbers, otherwise the product itself doesn't really matter that much. The numbers are what matter. Monthly numbers. You can't put numbers up, you need to find a job. You can put numbers up, you're ready to have a startup. I don't deal in making small companies. I deal in making huge companies. Investors don't want to talk about making a small company. Investors want to talk about how are you going to make a multi-billion-dollar company. No, I mean, companies start small, but they get big. I had a billion-dollar company. I had a huge drug company. So watch your mouth when you talk to me. I know how to make a huge company. You don't. When you have like 50% month-over-month growth, you can get a meeting with anyone. Peter Thiel, Steve Ballmer, Elon Musk. Yeah, I think, like I said earlier, I mean, the only thing that matters is your growth. No growth, no product, no company, it's dead. In the startup world, the only thing that matters is growth. There's nothing else that matters. What is your monthly or annualized growth? That's it. Zero else matters. Product doesn't matter, the ASP doesn't matter. You can have a product that's $10, it's fine. You can have a product that's costs $1 million. None of that matters. What matters is it growing or is it shrinking? If it's growing slowly, that's also as good as dead. It has to be growing, it has to be growing quickly. Does it scale? That's an important question, but I don't know that it's like, you calculate month over month. Every month has to be more than the last month. If you're not doing that, just give up. Yeah, look at Figma and Canva, they're pretty cheap products. I don't raise capital for anybody else. You can send me pitches or whatever, but I'm very selective about what I'll invest in. I don't really like to invest in startups. It's not my skill set. Investing in startups, you need deal flow, you need time to evaluate all of them. It's funny, I have a friend who is a multi-billion-dollar tech startup, and he's an investor in my company. And he emailed his friend about my company and said, oh, you should invest in Martin's company. And this woman, this was in the morning, this woman said, I can be at your office when is good for you. And I said 5 o'clock. She came right then at 5 o'clock. Knew nothing about my company, knew nothing about my business. That's what it takes to succeed in startup investing. Like, you have to have the network so that you see cool deals, and then you need to be like on top of it. Because a good deal will like go out your door to another company. And sometimes you need a lot of capital. Like, let's say, you know, there's a hot deal, you know, they want a $1 million check. You know, you want to do 20 of these deals a year, you need some capital. And these are risky deals. So to me, like, startup investing has just never been my jam. I think there are investors that don't care. They've made enough money that they'll invest with whoever they want. And that's the kind of investors I deal with. You know, if it's an investor that's like, oh man, I don't know what people will think if I invest with Martin. I don't want to deal with that person. I don't even want them in my deal. I want somebody who's just like independent. They can do what they want. They don't have to beg some investment committee for like some weird access.